Hey Walking Dead fans, this is going to be a video on the latest episode 9-4, kind of just talking about it and some thoughts and what we think may or may not happen in the future. And on that note, I've had a bunch of commenters, kind of comment in the last few videos that when I do a news video or make comments on something or, we all throw out theories. And the reason the channel was created initially is to start a discussion between myself, who's a fan of The Walking Dead, and all of you guys. And no, I don't get everything right. Some of my guesses are wrong, some of them are right. Some of your guesses are wrong, some of them are right. But we talk about that in the discussions, in the comments, and that's what the channel's all about. I was criticized a little bit for not giving full details of what's going to happen in the upcoming episode, but that's not what this channel is. If I ever say spoiler alert, which I'm about to, it's for an episode that's already aired. This channel won't be going to like the Spoiling Dead, which is a fine group of people, and they give you heads up on what's coming up in the future episodes, some spoilers, and that's cool. And if you want to go to that site and check that out, that's awesome. And if other YouTube channels want to do videos on spoilers like that, hey, that's cool. But don't give slack to my channel for not doing that, because that's not what my channel does. I personally don't really want to be spoiled for a future episode, but it's fun to make guesses and to theorize and stuff like that, wondering what's going to happen to Rick and what's going to happen to these guys and wonder what they're going to do because of this and that. And that's the fun of it. That's the fun of being a fan. So if I say spoiler alert, it's going to be for an episode that's already aired. So having said that, spoiler alert, because I'll be talking about season 9, the first few episodes up through episode 4. So if you're not caught up, spoiler alert. Okay, let's quickly go over the last episode, and then we'll look at some promo material that they've got out for episode 5, which they're saying is Rick's last episode. And is it open-ended, or is it really his last episode? But we'll take a look at that. But as the episode starts out, it focuses on Michonne, hanging out with Judith, playing with Judith. She's going over some books. She's looking at the plans for the church. It's really showing her and emphasizing her as really the true leader of Alexandria and the community. And as she's writing and wanting to create some laws, she wants to help bring all the communities together and everybody get along. You can even see her trying to solve a dispute between these two ladies. But then if you remember, I think it was back in episode 1 maybe, where Michonne was in the bed and Rick was kind of laying on the bed talking to her, and she had some blood on her arm and she kind of wiped it off. Now we know where that speck of blood come from, one of her frequent nights out slaying walkers. But with all the emphasis on the bridge, the rebuilding of the bridge, we see Eugene and Rick talking about will the bridge last, and Eugene says probably not. And in the episode at one point we see Daryl say, just take them to the bridge, let it wash them away, and Rick's like, no, we can't lose the bridge. It's that symbol of uniting everybody together. But as we already know, the Saviors have left, Carol's going back to the kingdom, everything's just fell apart at this point. But then of course Maggie's heading to Alexandria. Rick hears about it, Daryl knows about what's going on, and he's taking Rick a different direction. They end up fighting and falling into a sinkhole. Totally so unbelievable, kind of the way they set all that up, but TV, let's just go with it. But then we're at the junkyard and Jadis is about to sacrifice, it looks like, Father Gabriel in attempt to call up the helicopter and get a ride out of there. So another thing I've saw in the comments a bunch of times is you guys saying that A means alive and B means bitten, but I don't think you're correct. And even though I think it means kind of the alpha and beta are characters in the Whisperers, the bad guys that are coming up after the mid-season. So I think A simply means kind of like a leader, and B would mean like a follower. And if you guys are still questioning, no, it's alive and it's bitten. Well, if you can see in the scene, Jadis was about to let this walker bite Father Gabriel. And she had already said, hey, who knew you were an A? So she already admitted that he's an A, and that if that means alive, why would she almost let this thing bite him, or was going to let this thing bite him? That would mean that he was a B. As with Negan, who she already knew was an A, but had the walker out there with him also, I just think the helicopter wants someone who's alive but has been bitten, whether that's a leader or a follower. But of course, she didn't let the walker bite Father Gabriel. She let him go and she disappeared. And I think she's going to have a crucial return next episode in episode 5. But let's go ahead and jump to Rick's demise or potential demise. So, of course, him and Daryl fell into the hole. They climbed out. 2 walker herds are about to converge. Rick says, Daryl, you go warn the camp on the motorcycle, and I'll take the horse and try to divert them. But the horse gets spooked, and if you'll notice, it's a very, very close nod to season 1 when Rick comes around the corner in Atlanta and the walkers are there in a huge group and they spook the horse, but then he falls and lands on the rebar. And in those closing moments, the herds closing in from each direction, Rick impaled on the rebar. It definitely does not look good for Mr. Rick Grimes. But let's take a look at the promo real quick and kind of see what may or may not happen and take a few guesses. You know, the marketing changed when the news came out that Andrew Lincoln was leaving the show in season 9, so AMC's really been promoting Rick Grimes' last episode. And is it his last episode? The last episode? Or is it open-ended? We definitely see him wounded bad. He somehow pulled himself up off the rebar and got up on the horse. And we see him hallucinating kind of as he's going along. He's seeing different things, and it nods back towards season 1. He even flashes back to when he was in the hospital in the coma. He flashes back to the streets of Atlanta. He flashes back to that day he got shot, and he's in the cop car, which I'm sure it's Shane, and they're talking and chatting. And we even see him hallucinate the hospital, the famous don't dead open inside doors. These doors, the don't is marked out and it says don't dead open outside, where the other doors said don't dead open inside. And the other doors were chained, where this one just has the wood. But you can definitely see the similarities. But it does look like Rick makes it to the bridge, even though he's fell off the horse. It looks like the horse possibly gets eaten by the walkers. We're not sure the fate of the horse. And he makes it across the bridge, though. More and more walkers get on the bridge. It'll probably collapse. But a few of the walkers will probably get by and reach the other side. That's probably where we see Rick collapsing and Daryl and everybody running past him to get those last few walkers that made it past the bridge. But still, the big question remains, does Rick get saved, or does he actually die? And the one way he could get saved, of course, is leaving on that helicopter. It's just strange he would leave and it be open-ended like that. So, for an example, what if Andrew Lincoln decides not to return to the show? That's kind of weird. I'd rather it have been a death and it just kind of end it. Such questions. And if Rick doesn't leave on the helicopter and Rick dies, it makes you wonder what the end game of the helicopters is going to be. I mean, if you remember, did you check out the voice coming from the other side of the radio when Ann or Jadis was talking to him in the junkyard?
No pickups, but the deal still stands. Will you have an A or a B? An A.
No pickups. We want an A. Wahahaha. I mean, who talks like that? What kind of villain is that? That's just crazy. But still anxious to see how it all plays out. And also make a note, Maggie will be leaving the very next episode or so. So we're losing a couple of big characters and we're still not even to mid-season yet. And of course that awesome shot of Rick standing in all the dead bodies comes really directly from the comic, and it's really awesome. I think that's going to be a pretty good episode overall with Rick's hallucinations. But as of right now, the top theories of what could happen is that one theory is that Rick is hallucinating his entire journey trying to get back to the bridge. We see him back in Atlanta and all kinds of different things, and one theory is he's hallucinating all of that and that he never really got off the rebar, that we'll end up back to him dying on the rebar. I don't think that's going to happen. We see Michonne and Rick talking in one of the trailers, and I think that's a real scene and not a hallucination, but I'm not sure. That one scene in the trailer that they released from Comic-Con, we've had it even before the season started. Rick is kind of still holding his side where he got injured, and it looks like he maybe is down on the ground and everyone's running past him. That's just a thing. Is everybody running past him? Do they even see him? Are they even really there? Or is he even really there? And of course, the most popular theory is that Jada saves Rick with a helicopter. There's another theory out there that the Whisperers are in that herd, in those herds, and the Whisperers capture Rick. But how can it be his last episode if that's all that happens? One theory even says that Rick is going to die on the bridge. As the bridge collapses, Rick is on it, and it takes not only the walkers, but Rick away as well. And of course, we got the theories that says it's all a fake out and Rick's not going to die and not going to be leaving the show. It's still my prediction that he dies, but he could leave by the helicopter. That's really the best other option that the show has given us. We do have a photo, a shot, a still frame that they've released that shows Rick with his bloody hand, with his injured self. Looks like he's pointing his gun at somebody. Is that someone that's real? Is that an enemy from the past that shows up in his hallucination? Is that as soon as he gets off the rebar, he has to pull his gun and maybe shoot a couple of walkers to be able to get away? I'm thinking maybe he's pointing the gun at Jadis, who finds him. But that still don't really add up because we see Rick with Daryl and a bunch of the people at the bridge. We see Rick with Michonne. So is that real or is that part of the hallucination? But damn it, I don't know what's going to happen. I think it's a toss-up between Rick actually really does die or he leaves on the helicopter. And I really hope he dies for the sake of the show. I think it'll be better for the show. I think it'll be better for fans. It's a tough one. It's a tough one because I really like the character Rick Grimes. I really like the show. It won't be the same show without him. But let me know what you think about the last episode. Let me know what you think about the upcoming episode, maybe the promos if you've seen them. What do you think about Michonne and what she's been doing? What do you think about Maggie and what she's going to be doing? In the promo, it does look like Michonne stops Maggie. Do you think we'll lose another major character before mid-season, besides Rick and besides Maggie? Do you think another character will die? Do you think we'll lose Jesus, Ezekiel, Rosita? And remember, there was the big shootout that Rick and Daryl heard between Oceanside people and Carol, the people that was at the camp. The Saviors came in with a gun. There's a shootout going on. You know, we haven't seen that yet. We don't know who died, maybe down. I think all the Saviors are pretty much dead, maybe an Oceanside girl. But I definitely think Carol survived that one. And Jerry was there too. I think he made it out. But I can definitely say this upcoming episode, Season 9, Episode 5, could be the most anticipated, the most important episode of all of The Walking Dead. Definitely can't wait till next Sunday to see how it all plays out. Hope you're there with me. Hope you're there after. Please check out the videos on the rest of the channel. As always, thanks for watching. And don't forget to subscribe for more dead stuff.